Okay, we are going to start the county government meeting. First up today is central services. Jen?
This is the RFP for the Pro Park shopping shuttle, the expanded route. Actually, the bid came in 50 cents less a mile than we're currently paying because they've had some economies with where they get their bus fixed. That savings allowed us to expand the Chatham shuttle through the end of the year rather than the state funding.
Exciting. I'll move it.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you. You, sir.
Thank you for all your work on this.
Thank you. I didn't do anything for it.
Thanks, Marissa.
Next up is Kel Williams. He's not here.
Michael.
Michael's not
Isn't
here.
here. She's sick.
So we can bypass it.
There were
No, because she highlighted everything in red, right?
Yeah, okay.
some changes to the payroll policy, recommended changes. If you,
Request to modify the Columbia County Uniform Payroll Policies, yeah.
It was to weights and measures.
the first one was rates and measures, and
And youth.
executive director of youth is that the standard number of hours. They don't have to have a standard work day, but as long as they have 35 hours at the end of the week, since both positions are in the field. So it made sense to do that.
So they're basically just not punching a clock, but they're,
Well,
Oh,
they're
they're
punching, but
they
but
just take their hours.
yeah.
Because the other hours are tied to hours per day.
So like,
Open
for
hours.
example, the youth girls, sometimes they might work on a Saturday or Sunday.
And then it was the attorney, right?
It was just correcting the word.
Correcting the word.
I didn't read through it. I'd make a motion to approve that as corrected.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thanks, Linda. Next up is Adam Miller.
And
Okay, so it is a resolution to extend the contract with our current digital marketing service. Fee is staying the same as last year, it's not to exceed 48,000.
I'll move it.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Jesus. Slow down, can't sign the papers. Next up is Karen.
MIS.
No.
Chris.
Oh, Chris.
That was a short
I'm sorry,
term.
Chris.
Come on, Chris.
I was reading the next one. Not here.
Just, going to authorize to, renew our shared services for 2026.
I'll move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Carried. That's it.
Thank you very much.
No, now I'm gonna slow it down. Let's see, let's try, weights and measures. Jim?
Good afternoon. I am here to report that after meeting with the county attorney's office, the Department of Weights and Measures is in fact allowed and mandated to collect fees for testing any scales that are over 40 pounds, or I'm sorry, over 33 pounds. And we can charge $40 for that, for each test. So it would apply to tests and retests. And I'm told that a resolution is not required because of Part 220.3 in the New York State Weights and Measures.
And that covers the shopping cart issues that you were talking about too.
Yes.
That's the weight of the scale or the weight of the thing that it's scaling.
It's the capacity that the scale can weigh.
So I got a question. How do you know where all the scales are? Just go in, think about it. You got all these stores and everybody's got my scale. You have to just go in and look and. Do they
Pretty
report
much.
you? Yeah.
We did Walmart on Monday. I had Corbin Chase from New York State came down and worked with me. And you have to pry because sometimes there are scales buried in the back room. And some not necessarily in working order. I found one 2 weeks ago that had one of Arnie's stickers on it. So that was the last time that was tested.
Do you have to test it if it's not working?
I do not vouch for it.
Okay.
And
You put a
Take it out of
separate
service.
sticker on it.
Yes. Mhm. Any other questions?
The big forage, Stickles, Quality, all these other ones and stuff like that, they get checked once a year, and they also have it by the state. Is that true? How that works?
Colorusso is done quarterly by the state. We're required to do it once a year.
For that?
So I coordinate with ProTech or one of the other scale companies and meet them. The solid waste department is done once a year. Colorusso gravel is only done once a year.
Once a year, yeah, okay,
But it's primarily the asphalt plant picking stuff coordinated.
okay. All right. Anybody else have questions?
So the fee, the $40 fee is set by the state,
Yes, that's the maximum allowed.
and will you be charging one fee or a variable fee based on
No, I'll be charging $40
per unit?
Yeah, and
Not
this
precise.
is only applying to the shopping carts for now.
Right.
Anybody else? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That was interesting.
Jim's gonna have more money.
Oh, yeah.
I had to try that.
Don't worry, there's someplace you can put it. Trees? Nobody's gonna change the tax rate or anything. Hello, Patrice, how are you?
Pushing the battery. Yeah, you're good, huh?
I just have one resolution. It's authorization to appoint a member to the county planning board for Region 7. Region 7 is Taconic and Gallatin, and the appointee is Terry B. Porter.
I'll move it.
Reappointment.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see, Mark.
Good afternoon, everyone. Just have one resolution request today, just to increase our fees. I believe we've all been talking about this a little bit. We want to make sure that the county is absorbing or recovering its costs of doing these revals, and that we've discovered that the valuation piece that we're subcontracting out has not been covered by our previous fee structure. As well as with expanding some services in the office, we wanted to do more of a menu of services. So actually the changes are on the second page, Kelly. These are the fees that have changed. So what we discovered is that it's a sliding scale with our subcontractor to whereas the higher, it's a economies of scale pricing. So the bigger the town, the more parcels, the lower per parcel fee, whereas vice versa, if it's a smaller town, still a lot of the same labor goes into it, even though there's fewer parcels. So the per parcel fee is higher. So we've adapted our fee schedule to be just that. I have a couple now towns that I have quotes for that I've been able to really use as case studies. And this is the accurate pricing for our services now. So the data collection piece was pretty accurate, but it's the valuation pricing that has changed.
So when you're doing a town, like our town, you're doing.
Yes.
You've been doing our town. Now you're gonna go another year. How does that all work out? I mean, is this just gonna pass on the end of this year, the next year?
Yeah, so any new agreement coming in that aren't already signed or quoted will be impacted by this.
Do these fees get added at the end of in other words, you gave us a price to do this whole thing. Is it included in that
Correct.
price or is this?
No, that is included in the price.
That is included.
So that's part of our quote is the valuation
Okay.
piece of it.
All right.
And then we just subcontract out that with a contractor.
Gotcha.
So that there are basically and when we do as you know, we split it up over 3 or 4 budget cycles, so it doesn't hit the town all in one shot. So that's already been included in yours and as well as some of the other ones that are already signed on. In your town, you were one of the situations where you had a larger town, so the county was actually okay on yours, but when we started quoting the smaller towns, when we realized that we were actually losing money on the valuation side, the county was paying more than the town was to offset it. So while there should be some expense burden to the county because of the fact that the county benefits from a reval as well, it should be more, equivalent between a town and a county rather than the heaviest burden being on the county.
So are those fees equivalent to the subcontractor's fees, or are they different from that?
So
So is there a delta in there, and is it positive or negative for the county?
So currently, the subcontractor hasn't given me a per parcel fee. So I've done a study based on the past 3 or 4 quotes I've received to kind of create an average of what that fee is. And what I have noticed is that the fee is a lot higher for the smaller towns than it is the larger towns. And that is simply because he explained it as the fact that there's similar labor involved. So currently our fee structure here is kind of a break even to where in most cases, the town is encumbering a lot of the fees for the valuation piece. So there's not a lot of fees for the valuation side of the project on the county. Where the county is absorbing some of the cost is in our labor from our office and doing the data verification piece. So that's where there's a little bit cost associated with the county in our salaries for that piece of the project.
So I'm
Did
gonna,
that answer your question?
I'm gonna ask it just a little differently. So if I have a quote for $100 and then you give it to an outside vendor to do it and their quote to you is for $90, there's a difference of $10. Where does that $10 go?
Well, so if I'm quoting, and currently under the current fee structure, if the county is overquoted to that $10, the $10 stays with the county. Because it will help offset some of our costs on the other side of our labor.
And if it's higher than if the outside vendor is higher, then you have to absorb that difference.
Correct.
Because you have a contract for the lower amount.
Correct.
Okay.
And currently what's happening is in smaller towns like your town, we're actually finding that we were going to absorb a lot of the valuation piece. And I did actually.
Small but mighty.
This is true. And so I actually was able to work with the contractor because of our existing relationship with them to kind of help us with those 2 contracts we have with smaller towns. So it's not as much of a burden to the county as what it was going to be.
And how do you feel are we continue to be happy using an outside contractor rather than having somebody in-house do evaluations? In a general scope.
Sure. In a general scope, I haven't gotten to that piece yet of analyzing it.
Okay.
From what I've seen from the contractor and what we have used them for, they have been reliable and timely.
I've heard good things from assessors about it, and I don't have any complaints. I'm just asking you.
It would be a lot to bring that person into the office, someone that is skilled in that set. And from what we are finding is in order to attract talent like that, the salary is going to be quite substantial. And I don't know that
years ago, I thought it was a good thing, and then I know what's happened. So I know where they're at, but as long as we're getting good service for a reasonable fee for the contractors, it's okay.
I have no complaints with our contractor service at this point in time. From the experience that I've had with them, the Clover project will be my first hands-on full experience with them on the valuation side. So, but I was at the tail end of some of the other projects they were working on for the county, and I so far haven't had any concerns.
I think the 2 things that we experienced was that by having someone in-house, you had that consistency over time. They got to know the market pretty well.
Right.
But then there was also the limitation associated with capacity, because if we're doing multiple towns, we could only do less work, which extended the process for getting these.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have 3 towns already signed on, or 4 towns actually, with 1 more in the.
And when you get into commercial properties, I don't think there's enough in Columbia County. You need somebody with outside experience, probably.
Right.
I would assume that helps there, but I don't know.
And to that point also, our independent contractor for the valuation piece is doing a commercial data verification training for our staff, because technically the state only offers residential data collection.
So we had a conflict and we have one commercial property in town that has taken issue with their valuation.
Mhm.
And the appraisal for that was $10,000 for one
I
property.
believe it, yeah, because I used to do this.
I've got a couple questions.
Sure.
To throw at you. Of course, it's me that's involved, so I got 4 parcels of land up on the hill where we live. One parcel is being serviced by Churchtown, used to be Churchtown Fire, now be Clover. The other 3 are in Melonville Fire District.
Okay.
How could that be possible? They're all right next to each other.
Depends on the fire district. down there.
Is that something we gotta go to the fire districts and figure that out?
Yeah, so we have found in some of these consolidations between districts that there has been discrepancies in the fire district lines. One in particular is like the blend between Prairieville and DeConick. And some of those fire district lines are pretty specific. So we tried to go through when this process happened, to make sure that what's being taxed and what's actually in the RPS system is what the fire district boundaries truly are. It is a lot better than what it was, but it may not be perfect. If you have those particular parcels, I could take a look at them.
I'll bring in a copy of them and let you know.
Yeah.
Churchtown 9.
They're
I'm close to, we're surrounded by Clover.
So what we did find that there were some discrepancies and issues in the Philmont overlapping with Mellonville, overlapping with Clover in that area. There have been some discrepancies.
Okay.
We worked with George Keeler to try and capture a lot of them, but I don't, if we, it's.
So I think now that they've taken over the Churchtown district, they take care of all that. But there's still Mellonville and Clover, so it'd be them taking over a piece that they're all together, so not a big deal. We'll figure it out. I was just asking a question.
Sure.
Another question is just to let you know that I think we've taken care of, my son bought a piece of land in Prairieville. So his address is Prairieville. He pays his taxes in Hillsdale, but he was voting in DeConick. Yeah, so I actually got with Kelly Miller and I got that straightened out with the voting part. It was just like, wait a minute, how can that be possible?
Yeah.
It didn't make sense.
I
but
can't.
This,
I
I
had one in my town this year too. I realized that I tried to get back to that, but they pay taxes in Stockport, they open stocks, and it's, I brought it to board.
not a big deal.
Yeah.
It's just something you find, and there's
Right.
always some records are wrong someplace, so.
When you're on the line, it gets blurred.
It's close, yeah.
So
Anyway, that's it.
We don't have a motion. on
Good
this.
morning.
Just a suggestion, take Clover card.
Oh, trust me.
So I'll make a motion to approve the, fees.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries.
Okay, thank you. A couple other things. As you probably have all heard, one of our staff members passed away, unfortunately, last week. His services were yesterday. And we had a debriefing with Dan O'Mossey's team with the staff today. And we're doing a pet food drive in his honor. So if anybody's interested in donating, bring some food into our office. With the benefactors will be the Columbia Green Humane Society as well as Everlasting Hope.
Great.
I'm going to get out of order a little bit here on my agenda, but just to give you an update on my director certification, I have 2 more classes to complete to be certified as a director. One of those classes will be in January, which is sign up for that has not opened yet, but I will sign up for that as soon as it opens. And then the last one is an orientation class, and then I will be all set. The deputy director search, I did interview a couple candidates, and then of course the passing of Scott. So I was not able to complete my thought process on that. So that's still out there. The town and county tax update.
Just a question on that. Do you think,
Sure.
do you think you found a candidate between those 2 or is that still unclear?
Unclear at this time. I haven't had, because the last interview was the day before his passing. So,
Okay.
The town and county tax update, the backers and binders are in. They're all good. I just sent the reports today to Jim's office, for the calculations of the tax rates. Kara Keeler did pass her civil service exam and she is permanent now. And I'll go back up to the other thing I wanted to discuss, income limits for seniors and disabled exemptions. So it's been a while since the county increase them. I believe, and now that the state kind of did a sliding scale and increasing those exemptions. We've fallen quite a bit behind what that sliding scale is. So I think it's an appropriate time to bring it for consideration to look into maybe modifying that local law and increasing those exemptions, the income limits for those exemptions. So currently our cap on the income limit is 43,399.99. So basically 43,400. That right now the state is saying that it can go up to 58,399.99. And some of the towns, Greenport and Taconic in particular, already do offer it to that level. So we are getting some confusion from residents in those towns as to why they're eligible for it on their town tax, but not their county tax. So it would be I think it would be in the best interest to look at increasing these. I didn't have a proposed local law or anything tonight, but I just wanted to open the discussion on it.
Is it possible to do an impact study and see how many people would be impacted by the change?
It is a little difficult to do that because we don't know exactly how many new applicants we will have because there are towns that don't currently have it. It is somewhat easy to do what the impact would be for Greenport and Taconic because those seniors are already receiving it on the town level. So we could see what it would be on the county level. And without maybe trying to get some general statistics of income for our county, it would be kind of hard to determine what that impact would be.
I just know we all just finished our budgets, and at the end of our budgets, we have to have a summary of all of the
Right.
exemptions that we offer, and they're cumulative. I mean, they really start to add up at the
They
end
do.
of the day.
Mhm.
So I think everybody wants to do the right thing, especially by our seniors, but we also need to look at what the cost of that is.
Sure.
And you mentioned that we have two municipalities that have gone to the max. Are there others that aren't equal to what the county is now?
The
All the other
Don't
municipalities
most
signed
of us
it.
adopt what the county does?
Most of them.
Yeah,
did
the
not
only
ask
the only
me.
one that has been slow to adopt was the city of Hudson, but I believe they are at the same level now. They were, I think, a year behind the other municipalities, but the ones that are a little further behind are the school districts.
Yeah.
They don't always adopt to the same level that we do. But
Is it like March or February we have to pass it? What is the timeline?
so typically February would be the right time to get the local law passed because it has to be in effect for March. Because that's when you have to have time to notify everybody and all the applications.
If you wanted to
March
catch it for
1st.
coming year,
Right.
That's fast approaching.
Yeah.
For a local law.
Yeah, only one
We
meeting.
need it in January
Yeah.
to pass in February.
Right. So I looked back at the timeline into when this was discussed last, and this is the meeting that Suzette brought it up in. And last time the changes were made, but it was a pretty fast moving timeline. So I understand that this might be a little fast to move for this year, but it's something that I think that we really should start considering.
Can you repeat the income? What's the current? What is the possible?
Yeah, so the current is
44.4.
is 43.4, and it would be 58.4 under the new. So it is a pretty big difference.
You have to go all the way up to the top or?
No.
You don't, that's the max.
That's the
Something in the
range.
middle. Again, when we did this originally, we went halfway or something, and, I think should be when
Correct,
when the legislation first came in,
correct. And when it first came in, I think it was 3 years ago, the state didn't go all the way either. The state kind of gradually went up year by year. So now they're at the maximum,
Okay.
which is what.
Yeah.
Now, those two towns, Greenport and Taconic, they followed the state's maximum. So now they're at the state maximum.
Okay.
They followed the same schedule the
Yeah.
state did.
And I think it would make sense to go up. I mean, you just, the same way inflation is going up, it would make sense to go up something.
But I think we talked about that in our town, and I think the assessors were saying that that's very confusing for people for it to change every year, right?
Okay.
Seniors are not early adopters.
And I think the bigger thing is, Mark already pointed out, when you've got two municipalities doing one thing and then 18 others doing something else, it would be better to try and get it standardized best we can, but, so that whatever the county's doing, that all the towns are ready to sign on for.
And to be clear, the reason why those two towns are different is because the assessor, they had the same assessor at the time, and the assessor pushed the towns to just adopt the state maximum.
And is the town's deadline the same? Like the towns would also need to pass it in February?
Correct, yeah.
It seems hard to
Right,
coordinate.
it is, yeah. And we should try and be on the same page best we can is my suggestion, you know, so that the county could do it and the towns could all copy it, you know, within a reasonable time, but.
So how frequently does the state change this?
Well, so they changed it yearly since it was originally introduced, but now it's been.
That was
now
all
it's
part of that
established.
legislation, it's
Correct.
not, you know, it was enabling legislation, and they said this is the sliding scale.
Okay.
for the
And
next
now,
few years.
now it's hit the maximum of that sliding scale, and I don't see any current pending legislation that's going to change it.
Right,
But I don't know how long it's going to stay at this, but I think it was a while prior to this that it had been changed. This was kind of like the first in many years that they even changed.
So what's the period to register for that exemption?
March 1st is the deadline to register.
So if we don't pass a local law until February or March, the
you
registration
have to
period.
scramble now, I think.
Yeah.
I think
Assessors would have.
we need to prepare for March
Next.
27.
Right, that's what I thought too.
Right, so maybe, when is the,
That would give you adequate time to notify people.
does that mean we should like pass something in like July or August? Like, is there like a window when you don't want to pass it in, but then you'd be ready for the next year and then give the
It-
towns a couple months to do it?
It basically, after final rule, after July 1st would be at any time after that would be.
The confusing part is if you get information out there and there's news that it gets changed, but it's not gonna take effect for a while, residents can complain to the assessors. You know?
I would say if you're looking for the ideal timeline, I would say as long as it was done in September, it would give you adequate time.
Isn't
To
that what we did
prepare.
last time? I feel like it was in
That
the
was trying to
fall,
remember.
yeah, for the following.
And then the
Then get the
towns can
towns-
file in, you know, the towns can follow in and get it
It
done.
could be I would have to,
I feel like it was like late. in the
see, I only
year.
printed one page of the local law that had the numbers. So I don't know.
Yeah, they just have to do it over the summer for the
Oh.
county, then.
I'm sorry, it was 9/21. You're right, it was September.
I felt like it was in the fall. I remember her bringing it up and we kind of pushed it down a little bit and then, we did it for the following
So
year.
this is good. We have plenty of time to get this done.
But I think while Mark's here, it's worth having a conversation out of the supervisors that are here. Do we want to go to the max? Do we want to go a halfway point again? You know,
I'm gonna go back and do the highway for my role. and see what that means. I can ask my assessor to pull an impact report. Just like.
that's why, but that's information Mark want to have
Yeah, I
before we
mean,
develop a local
She
law.
might, your individual assessor might have some more income information from, that's interesting. I might be able to get some income information from the star exemptions. That's probably a good spot to look. That would probably give us an indication.
Guess the planning department might have income based on census,
Real general sense.
That would be
Yeah.
the 2020 census.
Yeah.
but might still have stats, I guess.
But I think this question always comes up. I mean, there are people now that are not eligible at all because $2 over, this could trigger it where new people could be eligible and we don't know that till we reach out and talk to them,
But they're very upset that they're $100 over or $200 over. I appreciate that.
But I'm all for trying to move it up a little bit, but I'm just questioning whether we go to the max or not.
Other people.
Okay. Thanks, Mark.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
no problem.
That is a 35% increase in income.
Ms. Brown?
If you went to the max, yeah, right.
15,000 if you went to the max.
Yes, sir. But again, if you don't do anything, that's wrong too. Maybe. Right?
Okay.
There's a resolution from the Land Bank Corporation, which CEDC is the administrator of, for the transfer of 2 parcels in the town of Germantown that the county currently owns, that they foreclosed on in the spring, I believe. This followed the process that we laid out as part of the Land Bank's application to Empire State Development. The town of Germantown actually passed a resolution at their most recent town board meeting, supporting the transfer of the parcels to the land bank. So these weren't purchased during the public auction portion of the foreclosure sale. These are just a private transfer from the land bank, or excuse me, from the county to the land bank. And there's already a affordable housing developer lined up on the back end, and the town of Germantown supports the use of those parcels for affordable housing. So there should be a contract attached.
Yeah.
Okay. Which Chris Watts has reviewed, and I think Rob has seen it as well.
Can you tell us about the affordable housing project? Is that public?
It's not public yet. I know what they want to do. There are some zoning issues there, and Germantown is still in the middle of a zoning update. So there's some question about whether they'll be able to do what they want to do by right, or if they'll need some variance. It would just be one variance. But it's habitat, so it'll be single family home ownership. I just don't know how many units they're gonna go for.
Okay, I'll move it.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Vote. All right, thanks, Chris.
I'll see you for the
Later.
next one.
Chris, that went faster than I thought.
Yeah. Bill?
From one meeting to the next, you had your other meeting the hour before, right?
Right, I just came from there, yeah. Well, good afternoon, everyone. As you can see, these are the type of calls that I've been receiving, and just for your information, I received probably, well, I know I received at least 102 cases since the first of the year. I counted them up before I left, and some of them do require more than one call back to try to give the people the information that they really need and that they're looking for. And you can see by what we're dealing with. And just to give you an idea, oftentimes when people are being evicted, they also complain about they're not getting the safe and sanitary livable conditions that they are from the landlord, and in many cases that is the case. So that's warranty of habitability and repairs. I had my first call on insect infestation just before I left the house today, so working on that. Actually, it is a multifamily senior housing, and they, the management is doing everything they can to try to rid the insect infestation, and the caller seems to be satisfied with that, but it doesn't seem to be going away the way it should. So I know oftentimes, and these heat treatments, chemicals are one thing, because when they do a chemical treatment, usually the tenant has to leave the premises for 6 hours before they can return. And the heat treatments, they're rather expensive. I think they can range anywhere probably from $1,500 to $4,000 for a heat treatment, but they seem to be quite effective. They say they're about anywhere from 97 to 99% effective. And so I did recommend to the tenant that he talk about that, but he's going to call me back. And if that's the case, I think I will call management at the housing to see if that will be a possibility. So, I wanted to talk about, if you recall, I did talk about this Housing Opportunity Modernization Act. The acronym is HOTMA for that. And the asset limitations, if you remember, where if a tenant is receiving what they call housing assistance payment, that they have to pass certain asset and income requirements. So that asset limit is now up to 103,200. However, there's some flexibility there. If the housing manager prefers to, and I don't know why they wouldn't, they can allow a tenant or a resident to stay even if they have that. even if they meet that, over limit of assets, they can allow the resident to stay and the resident can still get the subsidy. But they have to establish that policy across the board for everyone in that particular facility. It affects anyone who's getting HUD assistance, like Section 8, Public Housing Authority, PHAs. It also any multifamily, privately owned. But if they establish on this asset limit, if they say, we're going to establish across the board that we're just going to allow the tenant to stay and not show any favoritism. I assume that's why they say it has to be in the policy. So that's good news. I think before people were saying, gee, I got to spend down that 103.2 in order to stay in the facility, but that doesn't appear to be the case anymore. It took a while to get this implemented, and I think it's been about 3 years, but finally they feel that January 1st, 2026, it's finally going to go into play. Now, the income changes, there is a safety net in there, which is, what I think is pretty good because normally to qualify for any housing assistance, they're looking at anywhere between 30% and 50% of the area median income, which is considered very low income. But if a tenant is living in and is receiving these HAP payments, housing assistance payments, and they can now earn up to 120% of the median income without being forced out. Well, there is there's a 2 years. They allow you to make up to this 120% of median income, which is really moderate income, for 24 months. And the reason for that is they want to give the tenant the opportunity to find another place to live, which when we go over those waiting lists, you can see how long that takes. So so that's the 120% of median income. They're going to allow that for 2 years. And as near as I can determine, after the 2 years, they get a notice, and then there's 6 months after the notice. So it could be 30 months. But I think that's a pretty good safety net. But it only applies to people who are in resident now. The asset limitation and the old income limitations to qualify for these housing assistance payments is going to remain what they are now. And so people who, there are going to be less people qualifying for, tenancy or a residency in these places if they exceed those asset and income limitations. Not the 120%, just to clarify that. In order to get in, it's got to be between the 30 and 50% of the AMI. And then, anyone who's trying to get into a income assistant living project is going to have to go by the tough rules. But if they are already resident, they have these safety measures that are in place now. So
this is a federal law, right?
this is a federal law. It would apply to HUD, any HUD assistance, and any
And state assistance.
USDA
Yeah.
assistance. Brenda, yeah.
Okay.
So anybody that's getting assistance from these federal agencies, this HOTMA would apply to.
And are these limits the same as the New York State limits, income limits and asset limits for?
They would be federal, federal limitations. As far as the state is concerned, I think HOTMA is strictly federal. I don't know of any asset limitations or income limitations that the state might have. I could check into that.
No, I just Googled it. I just wanted to see, make sure that,
But it's definitely, and Section 8 would be included in that too, because Section 8 is a HUD program, senior housing. There is the low-income tax credit, which wouldn't apply. They have rules of their own, the low-income housing tax credits, because low-income housing tax credits are tied to the unit, not to the individual, so. But I wanted to bring that up because I know we've been talking about it and we were quite concerned about it, but I think with some of these new things that have come into the picture, at least, we don't see a lot of displacement coming down the line right away. The other thing is, as you can see, we're already starting to prepare for Fair Housing Month. I know April seems a long ways off, but there is so much to do with the schools and the students and getting all the preliminary stuff out, the publicity stuff, that even to start right now is not too soon for that. So, and then we do plan the landlord tenants rights forum. Hopefully that will take place before the poster contest, because we like to display the posters that we get in at the tenants, the landlord tenants rights forum. So that's where we are right now.
Any other questions for Bill? Okay, thank you, Bill. Thank you, Bill.
And happy Thanksgiving and
Thank
happy
you.
holiday season.
Anybody else got any more questions?
Some of the people from the public are here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure why.
Anybody from the public would like to speak? Questions?
Yeah. I would. My name is Carl Whitbeck. I've been talking to Chris Watts about Brenda Schufelt, my client, wanting to buy a small parcel of a rail line in Mellonville. I thought Chris was going to be here. I'm a little surprised. He told me to come tonight, so that's why I'm here. The parcel is, a quarter of an acre.
Yeah, you never said anything.
Nothing.
Nothing, so, yeah, news to me.
All right, well, so what should I do? I sent him an appraisal, I sent him a survey of the property.
Where exactly is it again?
It's on Mellonville Square.
Okay.
Her house fronts on the square. This rail line is her backyard.
And it's county property or?
It's county property.
County
It's
property, yeah.
the Boston and Albany Railroad.
But we sold a bunch of
Yeah,
parcels.
you've sold several parcels.
Yeah, and a bunch of them have.
Further in Clark.
To like adjacent landowners.
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh,
to
yeah.
adjacent landowners, and we would merge this parcel with our existing parcel. It wouldn't be a separate.
What the plan is, what I understand now, is to bring the trail line in from Hillsdale up into Philmont, and then they're gonna take the trail up where the gun club is that way.
Right,
So this one, I don't think will ever be
right, and there's
utilized for anything, and even if they did, they would bend off, tie up into the other one. It wouldn't
There's
walk through the
there's
farm.
two rail lines that go into Ghent, almost parallel to each other.
Correct.
This is the one that's not
That's,
gonna
yeah,
be.
and it's the one we sold a lot of parcels.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
we'd be
we'll
happy.
look into it, but
I think without the attorney, we're not to take any action.
Yeah, well, we'd love to be on your agenda the next meeting.
okay, yeah.
Can't do it.
Call me, I mean, yeah, absolutely, we'll set it up.
Did you say there's a survey that you've given to Chris?
I've given Chris a survey.
Okay, yeah.
So we had the property surveyed.
Yeah.
The map.
Right.
0.26 of an acre, it's just a small parcel. I gave him an appraisal from Tony Concra.
Okay.
We apologize for the confusion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sorry too.
And Brenda, please send me a copy of the town club.
Yeah, I will. In fact,
I would have talked to the committee directly.
Okay,
yeah.
all right, yeah,
That's
absolutely.
Chris.
Like I said, the first time I've heard about it too, so, but it's not a problem.
This is the first time I've heard.
Yeah,
about it.
that's all right.
Yeah.
So I've also, it doesn't.
That's fine.
We'll make sure we talk.
Okay, we apologize.
Yeah.
just one
Yeah,
quick
reach out to me and I'll
one
get
more
you.
question. The existing parcel that you want to attach it to, is it conforming lot size or no? Would this
It'll
improve
be
it?
Hard parcel, right?
Yeah.
It's a small parcel, so it
I'm just
may
thinking
or
about-
may not, but it's definitely,
Like,
it's a long time
No,
existing
people-
parcel. The house is, How old?
1875.
Right, okay, so the house has been, the house takes up most of the parcel.
I just have my zoning
It's
hat,
not a
you know,
big-
because
Not a big
it's a
parcel.
non-conforming subdivision. So.
Not really if you
To
attach
attach
it
it
to a
to-
neighboring.
No, we're gonna
Right.
merge the parcel.
Right.
It'll make the
I'm trying
parcel
to
bigger.
understand, but I'm trying to understand what the size of the original parcel is, whether that's a conforming or a non-conforming
It
parcel.
is on the survey map, so
Okay,
I don't
we'll
know
look
the
at it.
answer off the top of my head. but
Okay, we'll look at
I
it.
will the next time.
We still got issues. We were just looking, I see somebody now will build a garage on the trailbed.
On the trail bed.
It's not their property, but there's a garage there.
Well, it's pretty much a boundary line adjustment. You know,
Yeah, it's a simple.
It's their garden. That's
Right.
kind of, they're already using the property and have been for a long time.
And I spoke with Chris Post, who's the head of our zoning board
Mm-hmm.
in the town, and he said it wasn't a zoning issue.
Okay, good.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Thank you.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Anybody else from the public? Okay, I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
All in flavor.
I'll flavor it.
All right, folks, we have a number of things to chat about tonight, so I'd like to call the November Public Works meeting to order. Up first, as we had talked about last month, we have invited Centrica back. Centrica's been working for a long time with us on many successful projects, but I'll have Ray quickly introduce them and tell them why we're here tonight.
So if you recall, we brought Centrica on to take a look at 401, take a look at the building that we're in now, recognizing that it does need quite a bit of improvements. Again, Centrica is concentrating on energy improvements for the building. They'll go over their entire scope as far as what that would be and what that would include as far as the heating system, air conditioning, as well as the envelope is also. But we're not asking to take action on anything this evening. It's an informational presentation by Centrica. There are other additional components that we'll have to take into consideration. I'll discuss those very briefly after Centrica is done with their portion of the presentation. But then I would like to have a further discussion potentially with the full board regarding this particular building and potentially how we would move forward or what we should be considering. So with that, I'll turn it over to Centrica.
Yeah, thank you. Your company doesn't have a wrecking ball?
So there we go. Let's start with that.
That may be, that may
That's
come
the
out of
price
it.
tag that you'll see later.
All right, well, good to see everybody. I know it's been a little while since we've been here. I think Ray did a good job kind of setting up what we're here to talk about tonight. So I don't know if you know all of us. I'm Mitch, account executive, Scott and Ryan, our engineering team. Yeah, we've been talking about this building for, I think, dating back to 2020 at this point.
Yeah, we had a couple rounds of.
Yeah.
Saying this building needs help. What do we do? You know?
So our first look, and we'll get into that a little bit with the project background, was just preliminary back in 2020. Led to some other projects that we moved forward with the county and very successful. This go through was a deep dive and investment grade audit. So you're going to see a lot of details on different measures. The goal for us and working with Ron and Ray on this and even Brian was if the county decides to stay here, what do we need to do from an energy efficiency standpoint, electrical infrastructure, resiliency, capital improvement? What needs to be done to make this building suitable to stay in long term? So that's what you're going to be seeing as we go through this. So we'll hit a little bit on the project background. And again, we're aware you have other things to talk about tonight. So we'll go as quick as we can, but we'll hit project background, get into some of those improvement measures. A lot of them are things we've done in your other buildings, but very custom to this building. Get into more details on each measure as we go, look at the financials. So again, we put real numbers to this. We understand that you guys have a lot of conversation that needs to go into what you want to do with this building. But these are real numbers. So let's say if you wanted to move forward at any point, these are construction grade ready numbers, just to keep that in mind. And it really should give you an idea of whether it makes sense to invest in this building or whether it makes sense to invest doing something else. And then obviously question and answering. As we go through it, as always, please jump in, interrupt us, ask questions as we're going through it. So Scott, I'll let you take this.
Sure. So I was just going to kind of go on how we got to here, because you mentioned this has been a little bit of a long Portfris road. So we did start this originally back in 2020 as doing a larger countywide assessment. That was something really right before COVID was going on. We took a look at a lot of your highway garages and pretty much all the other facilities within the county. Actually, the DMV and Treasury project is what came out of that, and we put this on the back burner based on there being other more urgent needs. When we first looked at this project as kind of a prelim, we really had a lot of ADA compliance stuff in it. We were looking at adding an elevator. We were talking about fire alarms and sprinklers, and we were looking at bathroom upgrades. And so we had a lot of stuff that was kind of thrown in that. And that one was really high level, stick our thumb in the air. What are some of our architectural partners looking at as well? The investment grade audit, as Mitch mentioned, that's something we started at the beginning of this year to really try and bring this back to what could this look like as a project. Some of the things we did look at is we looked at putting a solar array up on the roof here of this building, since there are some fairly attractive incentives for solar. So we did some investigative research there. We brought out some engineering partners. That is not including what you're going to see tonight based on structural concerns of what the roof can support. Based on kind of the archaic.
Some 4-pound panels are gonna bring this place to the ground.
It would more be if the wind is blowing on those panels with snow on top of them the right way, without tearing down the entire roof that's up there to be able to study the structure. Everybody was kind of like, yeah, maybe, but we decided we were going to avoid that. And so that's not in the numbers you're going to see here. We also spent some time evaluating a number of different HVAC systems. Currently right now, you've got steam radiators and you've got units on the wall some places or window shakers for cooling. So we really ran a couple of different models and scenarios to come up with how could we try and make this a building that's going to last you into the future and give you expandability and options. Ryan is going to touch on this a little bit more as we go through some of the more individual measures, but just, spoiler alert is we're looking to go to a water source heat pump type system. What this is you circulate a condenser loop, or basically room temperature water goes throughout the building. Each individual space in the building has a compressor in it, and it rejects heat or pulls heat out of that loop. So you can have heating or cooling in individual spaces. And what that means is that if you ever change what's going on in that room, you can either change just that one little piece of equipment. You're not locked into something that's sized for that particular area. So that was something that we really wanted to try and be able to do to give you maximum flexibility, but also it minimizes having to insulate a lot of that piping. You can run 2 pipes instead of having to run a hot water and a chilled water pipe. And we're going to have to upgrade the electrical system anyway, no matter what we choose. So this was an option that kind of, it worked out to be the most cost efficient as well as flexible option. So that's what we're going to see. I know we can talk about other things if you really want to get into nuts and bolts, but that's the overview so you don't have to ask later. We did also look at fixing the building parapet, just because right now there's a big brick wall on top of the building that is seeing better days, I guess, for lack of a better term. There's been some water intrusion and some freezing things, and Brian and his crew have done some patch and repairs as best they can. But we looked at what it would take to, as part of this, basically tear that down to good bricks and build it back up to where it needs to be. A new electrical service that includes future capacity should you want to add an elevator, in addition to handling all of the HVAC equipment that would go in. So that would be a new transformer, a new service from National Grid. And then really it's something that we had hashed this out a couple of different ways for really trying to capture so you don't have to do a lot more after we're done with it. So that's kind of my 10-cent tour. I'll kick it over to you, Ryan, to go through some of the other bits and pieces.
I think touched just on everything already. We're all good.
Oh, do you need me back?
No, that's perfect. So this is more of a summary slide of all the measures that we're going to be looking at, from lighting the parapet. I'm not going to dive into them on this slide because we're going to be going through each one of them on the next one. So we can jump right into lighting. First measure that we're proposing, the one that makes me the most sense, is lighting. I believe it's the last county building that has non-LED lights.
Right. This is avoiding it, hoping it will go to a bigger project. But
we're proposing putting in LEDs for any non-LED light in the building currently. I do want to note this is inclusive of National Grid incentives. Well, for this project, it's not huge. They are being phased out by the end of the year. So that likely will not be included, but I think it's $11,000. We can get into that more on the financial side. Another measure is building management system. We've installed building management systems, at the DSS, DMV, and the county jail, all for the county. I know Brian has got to love
guys love them. You can just look at your phone or look at your computer and you can get access to everything without actually having to be on site. Or for here, there's no control, it's all manual override. And there's one thermostat for the boiler on the, I want to say second floor, third floor. And that's the only control right now. So we're recommending.
And everybody has electric heater under their desk.
We tried to ignore those one winter.
Yeah, right.
You came in the summer, right?
Right, yeah.
Exactly, I didn't see any.
You can't ignore the bill that goes with it.
Or the noise or the draw that they make. Here, this is more of an infrastructure upgrade as well. We're getting into some more building envelope measures. We're recommending window replacement. I know on this first floor, especially over in Board of Elections, there are some original windows still that are wood single paned. That's on the right side there. You can see, considering the age of the windows and the install of the ones on the second and third floor, there's a decent amount of leakage that creates some drafts. So there's 150 plus existing windows and doors that we're recommending replacing.
Tim, do you feel the draft out of that window? I was just over there and I was like, holy moly.
He's been outside all day. He doesn't know.
And Ron, the windows and doors, they would be, what would be the aesthetic of the new ones that we would propose? More kind of what they should be architecturally?
Yeah, they would be more architecturally
Correct.
than what they currently are. The second and third floor are just vinyl replacements that you can pick up at Home Depot. The install for the windows would be more like kind of what you would see normally in a building. I know also on the west side, if you look at the third floor, you can see into above the drop ceiling. We would, as part of that, we would plan that off as well, just because I know that was something that I noticed from the west side. I don't know if anyone else has, but you can see into the attic from the side.
Yeah, they'd be aluminum framed windows with a thermal break as opposed to the vinyl windows instead, something that fits a little bit more the character. There'd be a bronze color that would go in, something that.
More similar to what we did at DMV down there, that made them match much better if you remember that, you know.
Yeah.
Another building envelope measure is the roof replacement. Originally, we looked at this with the solar replacement. Once we came to solar, wasn't great for the structure. We still went ahead and recommended the roof replacement, being it was installed in the 80s when the county took ownership of the building. You can see on the photo on the left, it's pretty crunchy. We did have a roof contractor out here to take cores of the venue. It is dried, but it is a wood deck roof with one layer of 1 inch polyiso, so there's not a lot of bar value. As part of the roof replacement measure, we're recommending a tear off and re-roof with an installation of 2 layers of 2.6 inch polyiso, which will give you an R value of R30. So more insulation, but you're not going to lose as much heat out of the roof, hopefully.
And I will remind people, Brian can tell us, but several times Brian's tried to put money in the budget to do that roof, and we've never gotten it done because of the parapet wall and the complications to it. So it's been on our mind, you know?
Put down a layer at least.
Yeah, right.
If you redo the roof, will you be able to put solar on at a future date?
That's not without additional structural upgrades underneath the roof,
Just wanna be
unfortunately. So, yeah, that was our original intent, was to try and use a hardboard insulation that would support solar. But based on the rest of the roofing structure, without a much more, without a lot more demolition to see what's there and make sure it can support it, that's not in the cards right now.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Scott mentioned the parapet already. There's been some water infiltration and there's some crackage, as you can see in the photos. I want to point out the left photo. If you haven't seen it, there's some pretty significant lean right over Brian's office, conveniently enough.
Well, I mean, we aren't expecting to repel angry mobs yet. We don't need a parapet. Rebuild it.
What you guys want to do with it is up to you, as far as where your meetings go and how you want to handle the public announcements.
And how you want to handle the caps. But what we're recommending is a tear down and rebuild up to 14 inches, taking off any damaged caps and recapping it in all those locations.
It is pretty punky in some spots up there, and every year it gets a little worse. The water gets in this time of year, it freezes, you get some spalling or something, and then the cycle just repeats, especially these kind of days right now where it's above and below freezing off and on. So,
Yeah. I was just gonna say, we had a recommendation on the contractor who does this type of work, just like this, that was able to come out and give us pricing.
but I believe he's done work for some of the other.
Yeah. That's the guy I sent you down there.
Yep.
Another measure is utility and electrical upgrade. There's 2 reasons for this one. First reason being for future-proofing the building in case the county needs to install an elevator and meet future capacity. The second being is with the water source heat pumps, we need additional capacity than what the building already has. So what we're going to do is there's two parts to this measure. First part being is on the right there, there are I believe 50 kVA CAN transformers across the street that feed the electrical overhead. What we're proposing with National Grid is a utility pad mounted transformer in the lower lot on the southwest side of the parking lot. And it'll be direct buried, and the feed will come up into the electrical room, and we're going to upgrade the main distribution panel to a 1,000 amp breaker. So that way it can handle the load of the water source heat pumps, and there'll be, I believe it's 200 plus amps still left over for
at least
any future capacity needs.
And also just saying that that existing panel, you can't get breakers for anymore. They're actually viable. They're no longer in service. So I think they're somewhere in the 50s. They've given me like 60, 70 good years of service at this point. There's also just, as a follow on this, there are a number of other panels within the building. We're not intending to touch those other panels. It's really going to be whatever feeds into this panel is that line of demarcation. We're treating that as a here there be monsters. Only I say that if you open the can of worms and find any other code issues, you have to chase them down through the walls to find out where they go. We're going to basically change the panel out, make sure that is up to code. Any new panels that are installed are up to code. Any other existing things we weren't going to try and chase down because that's T&M work for any electrician. They wouldn't give us a firm number unless it was even more eye-watering than we could see. We may or may not have spotted a couple of things that would present an issue, but that we're just going to kind of not touch those ones. So just full disclosure.
I do want to know before the boiler, I talk about the boilers, is boiler room as well as the windows and doors. Most of the windows and doors are going to require asbestos abatement. That isn't included for the boilers and windows. It is included for the roof currently, but that would be an additional 75,000. But we can talk about that more in the financial slide. Boiler replacement. There are two large steam boilers that feed a number of radiators located throughout the building. It's a two pipe steam system, and we recommend replacing it with hot water high condensing lock bar boilers, which we've installed in DSS as well as the MP.
They would feed into the water loop.
Yeah, it would be the water source.
And not to digress, but how are those performing since implementation? Good.
At DSS.
As far as DSS, those have been working great.
Yeah, they are the jail as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I know that now is genius there as well.
As part of the water source heat pump installation, we're going to be, the county is going to remove there's a number of mini splits located here, I know in the main boardroom as well as a few downstairs. County is going to remove those prior to construction. That way the county can reuse those at their own discretion. Also want to note that the VX unit for the public works, I believe, area on the second floor and then the third floor are also going to be removed, as well as the associated air handling units. But we're proposing 86 water source heat pumps located all throughout the building. So that's going to be the heating and cooling for the entire building.
I keep being amazed, but our third floor has a Chrysler unit up there from the late 1960s. It sits out on the balcony out there on the fire escape. That I just keep being amazed that it still works. But
it's an antique.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
And that also, in addition to those pumps, it's a new piping run. So we'd have new mains up, we'd have distribution out of the core. And also a dehumidification unit was going to get installed in the basement specifically for record storage. And kind of what's the old gymnasium. I know now there's voting machines stored there now. Presumably those are being moved out as Board of Elections is moving, but we have a dedicated unit for dehumidification installed down there as well.
Is there anything in the building worth saving? Are we gonna
That's another story. But I will tell you that.
Besides personnel, of course. Yeah.
As an HVAC contractor, this is a very nice system. It's very well thought out. It's very flexible. It would be a great addition for this building, and this building needs something. This steam system, one of these days, is every year Brian, chases leaks around, but it's going to continue to be a real problem in this building. I worry about that. So I do think, we need to do something, and this is a great upgrade to it. I'm not sure we're ready to commit to it, but
Understood.
There's other things we'll talk about.
County has to weigh their options.
Yeah, right.
But with the water source heat pump, you need a source of heat rejection. So what we're recommending is a cooling tower that's going to be located outside the southwest towards over next to the alleyway. It is quite a large cooling tower. I do want to note that because I'm sure that will come up. You can see that there is a ladder on the side of it.
Yeah.
It's not for show. We'll put it that way. It is,
Right.
yeah, it's a 20-foot tall tower, at least before foundations and other
Wow.
things.
And as
we'll
like
be
the
able to-
parapet wall and all these things would require some SHPO, approval, so let Ray get into that later. You know,
Is that
That'll be able to
is
handle
it
it.
on the roof or the ground?
Ground.
in the ground. And where Brian parks.
Yeah.
Or Kelly parks.
I'll hand it back over to you.
Yeah. So I got a question. Yes, sir. Can you do all this work while the building's occupied? Or do you have to shut the plans down as you do it?
So we would probably, the way that we've done other work when buildings have stayed occupied is we would work with the county and Brian's team to selectively relocate folks for the days that we know are going to do work in those areas. We can do a lot of the mechanical stuff where it's just going to be out of everybody's offices. Otherwise, there's going to be select days that we know we're going to say we're either running piping through or electrical through, or we're shutting something down. Windows, as we've done the window replacement projects, we've done those day by day to say your office is going to be really noisy and dusty today. You should work from home or find a flex space for you to be.
We did all this at DMV and Treasurer's office. And,
Yeah.
you know, we're,
We would wait till after heating season, so the boilers could be down, it won't matter. The window units can stay in until there's new windows for things.
Yeah.
And once we can get the loop up and running, we should be able to kick individual units on as needed.
And I do like to remind everybody that, you know, the first project that Centrica did for us, they weren't even Centrica back then, was at the jail during COVID, and they got that done, you know, so things can be worked out. It's a challenge, yes, but
We're used to working within occupied spaces for sure, but every project's a little bit different. You can go to the next slide, Kelly.
You sure?
Yeah.
All right.
I want everyone to.
Right,
Some kind
so,
of chairs.
yeah, so as we mentioned, I mean, Ryan just went over the details on each item. Obviously, a lot of work's gone into designing this, working with the county on the exact system to put in place. We also have walked subcontractors, so this is, like I mentioned earlier, firm numbers. Not thinking that you guys are gonna make a decision today, but really allowing you to start having those conversations that you wanna have around, do we wanna invest this in this building to get these things done that we need to get done, like Ron mentioned? Or do we need to start talking about relocating this building somewhere else or the operations of this building somewhere else? So you can see that I'm not gonna go down, you know, everything here, but we broke it out measure by measure. The window replacement, as we mentioned, is window and door is a big number. That's ultimately gonna get you the right windows and doors for this building that aesthetically look nice and are gonna provide you with the envelope that you need. I will mark out number 6, utility upgrades. That cost there right now is kind of our best guess because National Grid has not come back with a final number, right, Scott, on that one?
Yeah, we were actually there a couple of weeks ago to site where we were gonna put the transformer, which is really kind of over by the parking or by the light in the lower parking lot right now, that corner. They were measuring to see if we had to ask the city to move their guy wire for the light. They don't. They're gonna be able to put in a pole high enough to clear it. So they were really just double checking what clearance is an actual, what do we need to do? How many poles do we need to set, et cetera. So they're working on that final number for us. We've been asking for that for about 7 months now. We're almost there. So we've told it'll be any month now, I swear. But we've carried an allowance in there of $60,000 for their upgrades for everything that we don't have covered. That number is TBD based on what they're going to feed us. So just for full disclosure, if that comes back and you see a different, it's because National Grid gave us a different number.
Yeah. And obviously the water source heat pump installation, as mentioned, I mean, that's the majority of the work electrically here. So that's a big number. Again, numbers from subs. This is a build ready. So if you guys were in a spot where you're like, hey, let's make a decision, these are build ready numbers. I know you're not there right now, but that's the idea behind the way the dollars are shown there, is that this is a build ready project with all the costs included. Wanted to break it out this way because, again, we want to give you transparency to help you start having the conversations you need to have to figure out how you want to go about this, whether it's to stay here and move forward on this and other things, or to say, hey, we'd like to invest this somewhere else. Go next slide, Kelly. This is, again, just the total number. small utility rebate on lighting.
You just brought us all right back here.
Right.
Yeah, I did want to just chime in on one thing to say, well, wait, with all this new stuff, where's the rebates? And part of the issue is the building, as part of it being designed right now, is not getting rid of natural gas usage. The current rebate structure using heat pumps in New York State, it's called the Clean Heat New York program. We would submit these for custom rebates through National Grid and NYSERDA. Most likely we will get some rebates for it, but the system is really optimized where you're getting rid of gas and going all electric. That's not something that we felt was going to be a viable option given going on the air source side of things. You basically install an electric boiler to heat up your water, which isn't ideal either. What your system does give you with having a water source loop that's in the building is that's flexibility in the future, that if you ever wanted to say, yes, we were going to go geothermal, you could put geothermal wells in without an issue. You could install an electric boiler. You could have whatever it is that could come up if you had another source of heating or cooling, loop water. Should the city decide that they were going to put a thermal loop, this building would be ready to connect to those alternative sources. So it's getting you ready for future carbon reduction, but we didn't want to jump all the way there now. And most of the incentives for the heat pump systems are built around going completely away from natural gas. So.
How many square feet are in the building?
30,000.
How many departments and how many personnel will be left after Board of Elections moves out?
There's about 42 people in the building now.
Yeah, so I would
So
say,
8 would leave.
yeah, so you're down to maybe 35, 34 or something.
If you don't hold out a department in.
So I was looking at $20,000 per person for this upgrade.
What did you say the number of
Yeah.
employees?
There's 42.
And again, these are energy upgrades, so
And the utility rebates, like we mentioned earlier, that's for lighting. And I would just say, if your town hasn't done the lighting upgrades, I'm sure a lot of you have. They end at the end of this year, so certainly reach out to your National Grid rep. If you don't have to necessarily have the project complete, but a signed intent letter is needed, you'll have next year to complete it. So if you haven't done it, take advantage of it. The money's there. It will be gone at the end of this year.
Does that include streetlights? I don't mean to interrupt you.
I believe it includes streetlights, includes any upgrade. So if you need help, reach out to me. I can help you get connected.
Grid only carries 4,000 Kelvin, unfortunately, and there's some people out there that strongly object.
Yeah.
They really want 3 or 2,700 instead.
Yeah, unfortunately, but, yeah, so that's the presentation. I know it's a lot to digest for sure. And there's some other things that you guys have to consider beyond what we showed you as well.
Okay. We'll let Ray talk about ADA upgrades and improvements to the building, but I don't know where you want to jump in with that, Ray?
I don't know, so, there's nothing else specifically for Centrica, so just wanted to bring up the information for the board. So again, as we've tried to do with our other projects, as we've mentioned here this evening, is that this is a beginning point. You know, we brought Centrica in because we wanted that energy grade, because these are the most complex systems as far as the cost associated with improvements of this particular building. So we wanted to get real numbers. In addition to that, I wanted to be able to present the entire picture to the board so the board can make an informed decision as far as the level of investment that it wants to make within this building. So again, the original building is 1939, as far as that's concerned. It's been identified that there's 6.3 million as far as the energy improvements and so forth. But we need to talk about the rest of the project. And unfortunately, you know, this is the Paul Harvey. Now the rest of the story is that
Lotus elevator, here we go.
we still have to deal with components as it pertains to ADA accessibility throughout the building as a whole. That means providing for upgrades to all of the bathrooms, so that way they're all ADA accessible. Obviously, an elevator system. There is room. There was work done back in 2020, I believe it was, to evaluate the potential. There is a potential of putting in an elevator, be located on the east side of the building, going up the sidewalls adjacent to where facilities is, as well as the county attorney's office. So we have to gain access off of there. That was one of the concept areas. But in addition to that, as far as the ADA accessibility, there are other improvements as well. Sprinkler system as far as the entire building, upgrades to the fire system because the fire alarm system is antiquated at best. Centrica has identified that they've stopped their work at the main distribution panel and not going any further. There's a hodgepodge of all types of electrical work within this building. Strongly recommend that that would be upgraded. All said and done. And again, I'm just going to provide you overall numbers for the committee. I'd like to have a further discussion with the full board because I think we really need to take a deep dive in this. But in addition to what's been presented by Centrica, you're looking at about probably another $3.5 million just for those type of improvements as far as ADA accessibility, additional distribution, some additional plumbing work that needs to be provided as the ADA accessibility issue on the bathroom get implemented. So you're already at a $10 million plus project, add soft costs, you're probably closer to about 12 million, all everything is said and done. So, and again, I'll provide a better breakdown and more information for the full board, but that's the type of level of investment that you're making into this building. And this building doesn't have great bones to begin with. And that's my concern overall of how much of a level of investment we want to make into this building, because we do want to look at long-term. And if you make that type of an investment, and if the county at some point decides to go in a different direction, are you going to get that investment back in your sale? I don't think it's going to be. So that's what I just wanted to review this evening and provide that information. But I do believe that as a board, we really need to the board needs to take a really close look at this. And again, we wanted to present it to Public Works as a starting point, like we always do. But I think we would like to also present it to the full board.
And the board needs to act though, too. They not just need to explore it, they need to act in one direction or another.
Absolutely, yeah, because this building is not getting any younger. The steam system, Brian worries about the steam system every fall through winter, whether it's gonna make it or not, and providing the Band-Aids on it to make it. And it's an issue, there's no question about it.
So we will also struggle with the parking situation. We talked as well.
Yeah.
We have limited parking.
We may lose that parking lot over there next year or so,
Right, so to your point, yes, so the action is okay, I think action items would be first providing that information to the board to make an initial decision of, based on what we know, do we want to make that level of investment? Do we want to explore options? What are those options? Do we look at trying to obtain another building within the city of Hudson? Are there buildings available within the city of Hudson? Does the county need to look outside of the city of Hudson? What complications does that bring? Because again, the board of supervisors, the clerk to the board of supervisors technically needs to be
One local law.
Agreed, but those are things that all need to be dealt with. And again, if we're making all these improvements with this building, there's a timing standpoint as well. So there's a lot of items to really dive into. And I don't want to take up, the committee, because I think it really does go beyond just as far as making a recommendation. And my apologies, but I think right now there are more questions than there are answers.
Exactly.
But usually with efficiency upgrades in a big project, we talk about years to pay off. I didn't see that. So there won't be a payoff.
It's
50 years.
It's a capital investment, really.
It's made like for sure. Yeah. It's a little bit too hard for us to figure out, all right, with new windows and an actual controllable heating and cooling source, can you get rid of, now somebody won't run the window AC and you won't need the space heater under your desk. There is savings, but it's really hard to quantify that. I don't know how drafty that window is specifically, but if you add up a bunch of them, there's a lot of drafts that are coming in. It doesn't count for, the parts for the Chrysler unit out there that probably don't exist anymore, or the steam boiler that, if there's a pipe somewhere, there's all sorts of other gremlins that you may find. So there's a lot of unaccounted for costs that are going to be in that. But to your point, the board does need to do something. Your roof is not getting any younger, is getting close. Your parapet is not going to last for too many more freeze thaw cycles before something becomes an issue. There are things that you need some sort of action, whether or not it's with Centrica. That's just as Ray's pointing out, we would love to do another project with the county, but we also really would much rather be partners with you to say you should do something, and action needs to be taken, whether or not it's with us as a project.
You know, many of the other very successful projects we've done with Centrica, to me, it was a no-brainer. Like, this is what we need to do, and this is a good project. I'm not convinced that, although this building needs all of this work that Centrica just proposed to us, and more, I'm just not convinced that that's the right investment, is right
Yeah,
next to
no,
the building,
just
you know?
one moment, if I may. So, and the numbers that I've mentioned as far as those additional improvements, as far as ADA improvements and distribution and so forth, as far as the electrical system, those numbers do not include any type of finish,
Cosmetic work.
upgrade, anything of that nature. So anything above and beyond, this is all utilitarian, if you will, to meet the code, to meet the requirements for as far as energy efficiency and so forth, but it doesn't deal with the finishes.
The OFA proposal out there next to the Commerce Park, that accommodated how many employees, and that was a $50 million construction price point?
I did not bring.
That was healthcare consortium, OFA.
Correct. So I can tell you by comparison, John, has some of the information, but I didn't have the inventory, so my apologies. That particular building, when it was presented, and that was back in 2022, that was OFA as well as healthcare consortium, but we were including a kitchen, a lot of open space as well. Total square footages was proposed at 28,000 square feet. At the time, the cost was 16 million for that particular project. I just utilized ENR as far as engineers news record cost increases as far as escalation costs. Escalation costs from 22 to today is about 30% increase. I brought it up to 40%. So we're sitting at about an 18 to $20 million project.
Yeah, and we need the larger chambers area, but you can maybe offset the cost with the removing the kitchen from the initial. Yeah.
Friendly, other question, yes?
So if we were to look at a middle path, if we were to identify a building, we could probably take us 2 to 3 years to get to another building. So would you rank that list in terms of things we'd have to do to stay in the building until we?
But,
And those numbers now are based on planned construction
Yep.
with, you know, hey,
No,
we've
that's
got a
great.
plan, we can
Right.
schedule, do it. But if something starts going south on you, then now all of a sudden I gotta spend the money today and you don't
Yeah.
get to plan it, you gotta relocate.
You got it, right, yeah.
You know, if a chunk of your parapet falls off onto the sidewalk, that's gonna be a bigger deal, or if you've got a hole in your roof during a storm. I don't know what's gonna be underneath it, or
Right.
blow a steam pipe somewhere.
But you prepared us with good numbers for right
Well,
now. You know.
it's just something when you speak with the full board, to make them aware of. There is a cost to inaction as well.
When you start talking to people, if you don't have real numbers, it's hard to quantify.
Agreed,
So-
absolutely.
Any other
But
questions?
for, you know, it
Centrica?
sounds
Yeah.
like for resale capabilities and for getting us through the next interim period of time, it's the roof, really.
The roof and parapet.
And parapet.
And again, steam system eventually.
Yeah.
It's continuing to patchwork that steam system.
I see a scene from the Christmas Story. And their brine is in the basement.
Right.
With little Ralphie and little Randy
Yeah.
listening upstairs.
Any questions from the committee members to Centrica, folks? I want to thank you folks for putting this all together. It's a great project. Yes, Kippy, go ahead, sorry.
No, I just, I know.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, absolutely. I'll grab one and thank you very much for your time.
All right. Thank you, folks.
Let us know. Thank you, guys.
Have a great Thanksgiving if we don't see you.
Yeah.
That's funny. I guess up first, we're gonna have highway. Tony's still here and awake? And Tony wants to know when we're gonna fix the highway garage.
Kelly.
When I got the windows and the new roof.
You got the new roof, yeah.
I know that's where we're gonna be. for a
Yeah.
long time.
Kelly, just a heads up, this is my last public works.
And it's-
Anything Tony brings up, just mark me down to no.
We only have one resolution.
It's been a pleasure.
All right. Always.
Always. All right, work schedule. Been erecting our stove fence and assembling our stone ice equipment, most of which is already put together. Continuing patch shoulders, roadways, cleaning ditches and culverts, clearing brush. Roadside sign maintenance, equipment maintenance. We completed mowing of the county roadways, landfills and airport for the year. We completed 2 miles of hot mix paving on shoulder backup on County Route 7 in the town of Gallatin. And completed 20.97 miles of pavement striping on county roads, 1.66 miles on town roads for a total of 22.63 miles. On the final round, which brings the total miles for the year to 197.77 for the county and 55.85 miles for the towns. Personnel update, we've hired 6 seasonal laborers.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Hadn't even snowed yet.
Well, yeah.
Well, yeah, I guess.
North and east. it has.
Yes,
It's
it
up
has.
to
I'm sorry
3,000.
You're right.
Don't jinx it. We hired 1 administrative assistant who's been training for the last couple weeks, and hired 1 motor equipment operator.
You still have the mechanic vacancy?
I still have a mechanic vacancy, and we just posted for the last, 2 of the last 3, and we have 1 opening. So. And 1 resolution request, Debbie, and that's to authorize the chairman of the board of supervisors.
Yeah, I'll vote yes on that. You need it. Motion and a second, all in favor.
Yes, we do. Without getting into it, yes, I did. And that's all I have.
All right, questions for Tony?
I just want to take the opportunity to thank Tony, the highway department, and Ray again for the work they did down on my road, Turkey Hill Road in Fairmont. Guys did a fabulous job. It's perfect. It's all done. It's saved us like $200,000 by, utilizing the county's workforce and equipment. And again, Ray was involved heavily with this, and I appreciate it. Appreciate it.
I think I was just on that. That right off the road, Turkey Hill Road. You get up on, you get up to the Taconic, just go up a couple miles to the left. Yeah. So it's just on the
Now, if they just come to Stuyvesant and build a bridge, that'd be all good. All right, if nothing else, we'll move on to engineering. Ray's got a whole lot of yellow tabs here,
What else is?
I'm sorry, Kelly. So proud to say that we opened up a couple structures this past month. So County Route 7 over the road jam down in the town of Gallatin was opened up on October 31st. And County Route 7 over the Punzik Creek up in the town of Austerlitz was opened on November 12th. So both of those projects are now complete. Just working on final paperwork with DOT. Mill Hill Road. Bridge deck has been installed. The West Lane asphalt binder has been installed. Bridge rail is scheduled to be completed this week. And we anticipate to have that bridge open for a single lane starting just before Thanksgiving. So it'll be a single lane. Reason we can't open both lanes is right now the temporary bridge actually falls within the easterly lane of that particular bridge. So we actually have to dismantle the bridge prior to us paving, and we're just not going to meet that. But we'll have it open to traffic as far as the single lane, which is basically what it was previously by Thanksgiving. Contractor will then dismantle the bridge, continue to remove some of the dress walls as far as those temporary abutments, and then do any restoration, and then do final paving in April once the plants open up again. County Route 7A in Copake, we conducted a joint meeting with the Town of Copake Road Committee and their town consultants to review proposed enhancements that they've requested for the project. That including, among other things, granite curbing, additional crosswalks, additional sidewalk lengths, and some various surface treatments. And so while those are all possible, we identified that it's actually not within the original budget that we had for the project. And we've already gone back to New York State Department of Transportation once, requesting additional funding, which they've granted to us, but it still doesn't cover these type of improvements. So I have directed our consultant to go back, identify the cost of what's known as betterments. And so again, if Gallatin, my apologies, if Copake wants to move forward with these, we can consider this as part of what's known as a betterment contract. And so the town of Copake would then pay for those additional costs above and beyond what our normal base costs were going to be. We're just in the process of identifying what that's going to be, so we can present it to the town and they can then make their decision whether they want to pursue it or not. 911 center, project's been completed as far as the construction. Ribbon cutting took place on October 31st. Appreciate everyone that came out for that. We're really proud of the project as a whole. And right now, the 911 vendors are in the process of fitting the space out. So they're putting in their consoles, desks, monitors, networking, and so forth. So they anticipate, I believe, that they're still targeting the first part of December to be able to occupy that space. We also conducted a final inspection with the building inspector, so that's been done. So we're just waiting the actual CO at this point. 11 Warren Street, contractors completed the interior demolition. General contractors beginning the new interior partition construction. All the under slab plumbing has been conducted or been completed. The electrical contractor is actually just in the process of completing his rough-in. And if all goes well, at least in the Board of Elections portion, because if you remember, we're kind of starting with the Board of Elections. General contractor did his demo there first and then starts moving to the other portion, and then the other contractors come in behind him. So we're not necessarily phasing it, but that's the way the workflow is going. So the electrical contractor anticipates getting his rough-in inspection done next week. Then we can start finishing those walls. So moving along.
I think our Board of Election Commissioners are ready to go.
Every time I walk into the building, they see me, they always ask. Yeah, so we're still looking at that April timeframe as far as construction. We did also hold a pre-bid meeting for the RFP on the building facade back on October 28th. There were 2 design firms that attended that meeting, and those 2 design firms also then submitted proposals on November 14th. So of the 2 proposals that were received, one was in the area of $150,000 for design. That's programming, design, bidding, and construction inspection. The other was at $170,000. I'm still in the process of reviewing those, and I would anticipate coming back in January for a recommendation to the committee.
Great. Glad we got some interest this time.
Is it necessary? That's up to the board to decide. Again, when we were reviewing the project, I believe the consensus of the board was, again, this is a county building right now. It's not very glamorous, to say the least. It looks like a strip mall, and the county wanted to make improvements so that way it better fit that area. And actually, yes, to respect the community, but also to represent the county as well.
And a lot of the cost of this was trying to coordinate it with the public and the city and,
Yeah, so this isn't a traditional architectural project where you're basing it on a percent of construction or something of that nature. This is very front-end loaded. So again, the way I wrote the RFP, it made a requirement that, again, because we weren't gaining input from the public, that is, say, from the city of Hudson, we've had many discussions of trying to get that from the city, but we just were unable to, and even trying to use some of the city supervisors to try to gain input, but we were just not successful.
once we have an idea, there'll be comments.
Absolutely. So the way I prepared the RFP was for the design consultant to actually prepare 3 design plans, conceptual, not full design, but conceptual designs, each one being drastically different. So that way we can then present it to the public and then let them critique it and decide what parts they like, dislike, and then we would do one last charrette with the proposed design. So there's a lot of front-end work associated with it. And we also included 3 workshops with the public as well, understanding that when we first moved forward with 11 Warren, there was a lot of public outcry, the fact that perhaps some felt within the city that there wasn't enough public input. So we wanted to make sure, now that we're dealing with the building exterior, that we presented ample opportunity for the public to comment.
Right. Are either of the respondents, anybody with work experience in Hudson?
No, and I emailed the revised proposal directly to the consultant that has worked, and they did not.
They chose not to respond.
And they did not attend the pre-bid meeting.
Okay, thanks. You can only try.
But these are both qualified engineering firms, so.
Yeah, so one is Lavella, who did our 911. So I've been very happy with their work in the past, and the other is C2 Mail, and I'm familiar with their work as well, because they're both qualified. Airport, We held a meeting with the airport consultant back on October 22nd to review the 60% design plans, which I provided a copy of as far as some of the floor plans. So at least that way the committee can see what those floor plans look like for that. And right now we are scheduled to go out to bid in January of 2026 with a spring 2026 groundbreaking. I have a resolution associated with that project as well for additional funding. We also met with the airport subcommittee on the 22nd, later that day to review the draft master plan layout. And that was really to look at alternatives on the airport grounds and what those potential uses could be. And what we looked at, for instance, were additional hangar space for GA, that is a general aviation aircraft, excuse me, in the form of T hangars, but then also looking for potential for larger corporate hangars. And so we do believe that there's ample opportunity for that, because what we would like to do is to really start looking at the potential of identifying those spaces and then creating, if you would, lease areas. So that way we can then potentially lease them to these corporate entities. And that would also then potentially bring in business as well as jobs as well. One of the interesting aspects as well, something that we haven't done in the past, is looking at what's known as VTOL aircraft, which are the vertical takeoff and landing. So again, those electronic aircraft that everyone is now looking at, drones and so forth. Yep. Water and Sewer Committee, Water and Sewer District, design plans have been submitted to the Department of Health for approval for the new water tank. And trying to set up a meeting as soon as next week with the town of Ghent to discuss the local approval process. Because right now, the airport is located within its own zone, okay, specific to the airport alone. However, in reviewing their local zoning code, that zone has no bulk regulations or use regulations or design criteria set forth within it, which is very convenient for us.
Yes, it is.
So we'll get better clarification on our next steps and how to move forward.
So you can slam cellular and everything on there, right?
That will be the intent as far as the tower.
Yeah, okay.
Commissioners for the Water and Sewer District conducted a public hearing on November 6th, and we set new rates beginning January 2026. And that was based off of an increase that took place from the town of Greenport that the prior year in 2025. Although we didn't have to raise them last year, we do believe that we have to raise them this year. Before we get to resolution, just a quick update. So with the bridges being completed this year, just wanted to give an update as far as the capital project. So between the bridges, 911, HVAC improvements, the chargers that we've done throughout the various areas of county buildings, and the airport work, there's been $9.9 million of investment as far as capital projects within the county. Of that 9.9, there's been 5.1 million in grants associated with that. Keep in mind, Mill Hill, which was 1.6, and a large portion of 911 were county funded.
Right.
So just wanted to give that as an update.
No, thank you.
Resolution requests.
Can I ask you before we get into resolutions, would you be willing to offer us your opinion as our Commissioner of Engineering on what we should do with this building?
Wrecking ball. I think you should be seeking another location.
Thank you.
Again, whether that's potentially looking at
gray space or
Another building
within the city of Hudson. It'd be interesting to have a discussion with the city of Hudson supervisors to see what their opinion is and
that's why I wanted
how
to get the full
important,
board, right?
how important it is for them to have the county building located within the county or within the city of Hudson. You know, look at potential vacant land that could be developed within the city, and then look at other buildings outside of the city of Hudson that may be available, as well as the county land that we have out at the Commerce Park. I think it all needs to be. I do not see the return on investment.
Would you for the stopgap measure of the roof? And
we have to. Yeah, because it's going to take us, there's going to need some level of investment in this building to keep us going while a design process takes place. Well, number one, by the time we identify a location, if we're going to move and explore those opportunities, and then actually get into design as far as a retrofit or a new building.
Well, thank you for that candid response.
Yeah, because I do believe that we're looking at, all said, although I would love to fast track something, I think realistically, you're probably looking anywhere between a 3 to 5 year period. That I still think that we're gonna be here, even if we moved in a different direction.
But back to your point there, on when we did 560 Warren Street, I really felt like that was a big investment, and we had previously talked about moving out of that building to John L. Edwards or something, consolidation. But I really felt like that investment in that building was recoupable through sales. It's a lovely location on Warren Street, good bones, so we did all mechanical upgrades. I don't feel that about this project. That's my personal thoughts on
And I
that.
think
So,
if you're envisioning the space, it's reuse, that we're repurposing, would be not less as office space, but maybe more residential.
Correct.
yeah, and that's where the city should weigh in. I mean, but if they go ahead with the John L. Edwards project over there and they're going to build an apartment house in the parking lot, is this better for residential or services through the residential rather than commercial? Right. Right.
Can you also, when you present this to the full board, can you also put together some guesstimates of if we do move to another location, approximately how much square footage we need, approximate cost per square footage to build something new, and approximate value we might get from this sale?
Yeah, I think
Just
that's
a round number. So
I know there's an evaluation that was done on this particular building
appraisal,
years ago. As far as appraisal, my apologies, an appraisal that was done, so I can dig up that information but then also I can take a look at what the square footage is.
Just to give us, an overall.
Yeah, but again, I think it also, the board also then needs to look at options, and I don't mean to go too far off topic, but are there opportunities to consolidate? So again, DMV, right? We do have the DMV building. It's a prime real estate location. Do you look at potentially bringing them in? Because now you could have a substantial savings on the operation. So for instance, you have security in this building, you have security in that building, you have janitorial in this building, you have janitorial in that building. If you're consolidating now, perhaps you're able to bring it down to a single security person, reducing overall staff. So now there's a real savings, annual savings, a real annual operating savings there, which can be calculated as well. But again, that's why we need to have that broader discussion of how far do we want to look at this? How far do we want to take this? Do we just want to look at the departments that are here and finding a new home for them? Or do we want to have a broader discussion as far as the potential consolidation? What that
all has to be in play.
Agreed. Right. That's why that discussion.
But along those lines, what happened with the OFA kitchen, I mean, I saw that as, I looked at the building in Philmont and thought, this ain't much of a building. We could replace that. So then we said, we'll look at a new building. Well, then let's incorporate the offices. Let's incorporate that. And then while we're doing it, we'll put a second floor on, and next thing you know, it grew, and that was the right concept. But to Ray's point, we need to do something soon with this building. And, if we started looking at building a 90,000 square foot building, to do a bunch of departments in, that could get bogged down. That's my
Right, and
personal
I
concern.
think, again,
It's the right thought.
it's the right thought. And again, there is going to be a bit of sticker shock. It's going to cost. It's not, construction, as we all know, it's expensive. But again, we're looking at long-term solution for.
PJ wouldn't come tonight, so.
Right. First was, resolution is for on-call services at the airport with Sarah.
Second. Motion and second, all in favor?
Second resolution is for terminal building, additional FAA funding. So we do have an opportunity of utilizing bipartisan infrastructure law monies in the amount of $711,310 that is available. So we want to put it towards this terminal building project.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Next one has to do, next two actually have to do with Stuyvesant Falls. First one is we received this. You recall I mentioned that we received a red flag on the Stuyvesant Falls Bridge. DOT has investigated and has determined there's been additional structural loss on several of the members. Several of those members are new as far as the amount of structural loss compared to the ones that were identified in the past, and they are requiring that we do a new level 1 service evaluation to determine the load rating to see whether we can keep it the same load rating or whether that needs to be adjusted. So two things, the folks at Clark Davis Engineering, they
are going, or sorry. Ryan Biggs Davis Engineering. They are going to, do that evaluation. They've done it for us in the past. But they're also going to look at what the potential cost would be as far as an investment, because the reality is that even if we continue to move forward with the bridge, just based on the historic review and so forth, the construction of that new bridge or whatever direction the project takes place, it's not going to move forward until 2029 as far as actual construction. So we need to bridge that gap because I really don't want to close down a county roadway for a 4-year span. So they're going to provide us an estimated cost on that as well. So that's included in that proposal.
Do we know, Ray, what it is now for weight, what it can
12 tons. Well, no, we don't know really.
We don't, right now it's limited at 12 tons, and that's why
But it could go down.
It could go down.
Correct, so you might have to bring it back to leave that 12 ton there.
Right, so we may need to make some stopgap improvements.
Just to keep the 12
Just to
tons.
keep
Right,
it-
yeah, no, it makes sense.
I'll second. I think I heard it. Move it.
Yeah.
Motion and a second, all in favor. Question though, Ray, what's the time frame once we approve this with them? Do you know that?
They said that they could get started, again, we're getting into holiday season, but
Yeah.
they said that they could get started within, the next 2.5 weeks.
Okay.
And they thought that it was gonna be about a 3-week term. So I would hope if all goes well, mid-January,
January.
something
Okay.
like that. Yep.
Very good, thank you.
The next resolution is a supplemental agreement with Clough Harbor Associates, CHA. And this is for bringing in a,
Historical.
yeah, I was gonna say,
Expert or
yes, they call it
something.
an FOI.
Yeah.
And that's an individual to take a look at the historic, structure itself and also evaluate the,
Is it eligible for,
is it eligible for an individual listing on the historic list? Right now, it's as part of the district, but they need to determine whether it's individually eligible. And also, they need to take a look and provide a larger area as far as the potential level of impact from a visual standpoint. These are all requirements of the Federal Highway Administration as we move forward with this project.
Move it.
Second.
motion is a second, all in favor.
I don't think I have on yes, but-
Yeah.
Last one is, wood policy. If you recall, we had the wood policy that we brought before the committee last month. And there was a question that was raised, but that did go to ethics, and ethics did not have an issue with us moving forward.
There a motion, do we have a second? Okay, motion is second, all in favor.
One last item on the lighter side of things. So we're very proud of the county trucks that we've been getting in, right? So we currently have 2. We're expecting a few more that are coming in. Tony and I were talking, we're actually going to go out to some of the school districts and see about having a contest to name the snowplows. So, we're reaching out to them, regarding that. So that's going to take place in the next, month and a half. We're going to do 2 this year and then we'll do 2 next year. And the way we're trying to target that is Tony's, once Tony identifies the trucks that are going to be removed or where they're going to be based out of. So for instance, the first 2, one's in Copake, the other is in New Lebanon. So we're going to go to the New Lebanon School District, go to the grade school and middle school, have them do their own internal contest. They'll give us 10 names and it'll actually be the driver of that particular vehicle to actually pick his own name out
Are
of
we
that.
gonna paint it on the side of the truck?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love it.
Ray, what's the status on electric trucks with the county? Anything, or is that kind of gone to the wayside?
We do not want county trucks at the.
I know we don't want, I'm asking, by law, do we have to do that or no?
No.
No, the school buses.
The school buses are the only ones that now have the mandate. There hasn't been anything at the county levels or state levels.
We had 2 electric school buses towed last night. I see them on 217 going on record.
Oh, really?
Something happened, they broke down or the charge went out or whatever. They were being drugged. I said, oh boy. Yeah, I know. Anyway.
Question, where do we stand on Buckwheat Bridge replacement? Where are we in the design?
So we are in the design phase. So we anticipate to actually have preliminary design, concept, if you would. That would be in the January timeframe. And at that point, we would come to both the town of Claremont to present, as well as the town of Livingston to present.
I've had some interest and some complaints and questions, concerns about how much straightening is gonna be done on that bridge because of increased speeding. So my board would like to have some say or input in that, or at least, you know, to know what's going on, how much straightens can be done. So I don't know if that's something you can come in. It's January.
Yeah,
3rd.
yeah, we'll try, well, with the holiday, yeah, let's try for
Because
February.
we're ready first.
Oh, yeah, let's try for February, but that is the intent, is to have those public meetings and to gain that input as well. But at least that way, we would have a concept design as far as the new line goes.
Okay, all right, because I've had a letter and
Yes, and I've received a letter as well, yep, and I know that, I've actually gotten some phone calls and emails from residents along Buckley that are concerned.
I mean, I don't know how much speed it's gonna increase. It's at the end of the road, you know, where it is. I mean, but any straightening would be obviously more, but we certainly wanna have some.
Yeah, right now the approaches are problematic.
Yeah, it is too sharp, but.
Okay, whenever you fix that, you could.
That's good enough.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ray. Brian is up next with facilities. You heard us complimenting him on his building here, so.
Yeah, I know, right? I say he'd stay here. It's a great building. Your facial expressions. Yeah, I know.
You knew where you stood, huh?
Oh, yeah. Everyone's gonna love swapping the air conditioners every year. That's always a fun job, so.
I think there's 13 window shakers on the 3rd floor alone.
I've been telling them, don't worry, guys, we're moving out. We don't have to touch them anymore.
Yeah.
They're gonna love that. Yeah.
Keep that up.
Yeah, a couple quick things, you know, we, got all our sanders installed, you know, winterized all the mowers, put all the, summer stuff away. Out at the new 911, we did a lot of, you know, running the data lines and everything, dug a hole for a radio tower. Right now I'm just waiting on cores for the doors, but, the fob system, everything's up and running. Let's see here. Forgot my glasses. So, like basically at the highway, you know, we had a lot of heaters and that we're working on, as long as the jail too. So basically, normal maintenance. The generator tests are up to date. We're gonna start doing changeover soon. So. But that's pretty much it. I just got a couple of resolutions. Well, this is wrong though, just to let you know, it's part-time positions, not full-time. So I just have to address that. So.
Motion and second, all in favor? Arch Energy.
Kinsley one. Okay, this is authorization to enter the generator maintenance agreements with Kinsley Power Systems.
Move it.
3-year though? 3-year, yeah.
We have motion and second, all in favor?
So they're gonna come out and test it and.
Twice a year they come out, they do like, you know, they run it, or go through it all, and then the second one, they really dive into it. So the agreement's on there in the paperwork. So. The next one is, this is authorization to enter in a tech support agreement with Arch. And basically what it is they're just outlining what the price is per hour. This is for our BMS system, which Centrica installed. This company has their controls guys in it. And
But they ain't working here.
what's that? Oh, yeah,
Don't work in this building, we don't need them here. you know?
Yeah, but they're very good. Like, and that's why I can't say nothing bad. You know, like Centrica, they respond. You know, when I pick the phone up, I get a response instantly. And these guys are the same guys that I dealt with before. They're really good to work with, and they like. Whenever I pick the phone up, I get a response within, you know, a half hour usually. More than that, they answer the phone and they solve the problem. So
this is just a contract, so I have to bid it each time we do it.
Right, and it is a proprietary.
Yeah.
Right.
So.
How often do you actually?
At their mercy.
We just had an issue last week. One of the rooftop units, a controller went bad. So we had no control over the unit. So he came down, put the new controller and had to it took him about, I'd say a good 45 minutes to an hour to reprogram it to that unit, to the system. But
you know, that rarely happens. A lot of my calls are when, you know, a lot of times we'll have no communication. So we either check for, power or, you know, basically it's always usually just power or a comm failure. And, you know, I'll usually have to call them up because they know where everything is and they tell me where to go. So a lot of times it's gonna be, you know, it's usually like a 20-minute venture. And then if they have to do something, they remote in and work on it. So, like I said, once a month, I'm calling them sometimes, but kind of like when we have issues, I gotta call them. I told my guys they can't call no more. It's just me. But like I said, the last one was, I bet you, because of the controller, controller, I think it was like $1,200 or something, but it is what it is, but he had it fixed, you know. Yeah. So-
Meanwhile, the old.
And that was at the jail. Yeah.
No one's looked at it in 30 years. You know, like-
So-
We need a motion right, on this one.
I do have a motion, yeah, in a second. All in favor? That was on Art Energy, yes. All the resolutions Brian had.
Yeah.
If there's nothing else, we saved the best for last. Wendy has pretty pictures on her things. She really did a good job.
Yeah.
Probably I'm like a cat, she has to herd. Okay, it's awful. Look at, isn't she beautiful?
It's beautiful, yeah, yeah.
What's that oil spot on her?
Not even remotely. I mean, there wasn't even like a little tiny bit of humor in that.
Right.
So she is officially.
It is a
up and
she, though, I
running.
can tell.
She
I can
is.
tell, yeah.
Did you name it?
Clementine.
Clementine.
She's
Okay.
officially up and running. So thank you to the committee and to the Board of Supervisors for working with our department during this really awfully long process. We appreciate it. Guys love her. She's doing a great job.
So you still got trash to load out there, though.
What's that now?
So you still got trash outside to load there with it, so.
So I didn't put that on here, but our top load building has been, so it has some work's been done to it. So they did reinforce the tunnel, right?
So there was
tunnel?
new roofing, yeah, there's
Roofing?
many roofing rafters that were placed. Some of those have been damaged over the years, so that was completed and we're installing a new column to the actual door opening as well.
So with that, when they do work, we have to empty out the top load building. So it's been 3.5, 4 weeks of.
Yeah, I was there yesterday.
emptying
I
out
was
the
like, there's a
building.
file there, but I was blaming it on the new loader not working.
Talk about it, but-
Yeah, okay.
But to save costs,
It's,
we
yeah.
we are utilizing the
Were
bridge
you-
crew as far as the
yeah,
county
and the-
bridge crew
they're-
to perform all of that work.
It looks fantastic, the work that they've done. Come take a look before we fill up the top row buildings. We've done a
Okay.
really great job. Recycling sticker distribution began on Monday. I actually had the privilege to deliver almost all, 4 clerks. I did not,
They'll be there very thankful.
this
Yeah,
year.
I'm sure.
It was nice to be able to drive through the county. I drive from my home to work and that's about it. So it was a nice reminder of how beautiful Columbia County is.
It's a big
So-
county too, when you drive from one end to
It
the
is
other.
big. I mean, I did it in a couple days, but it was
Yep.
beautiful and, all the towns, it's just, we're very lucky. Just wanted to say that. Prices are remaining the same as last year. Clerks are the only ones selling the discounted senior rate, 50. They're allowed to start selling on December 1st. So a couple of weeks earlier than normal.
So we'll advertise early so they're not interrupted during the tax
Right,
season. And
Right, and we will have signs posted at stations starting on Monday stating that sales are beginning on December 1st. I know it seems a little bit late, but when we had advertised a little bit earlier last year and then there was all these changes, it gave people time to get angry. So now,
Good way to
I
put
mean,
it.
we're just reminding everyone that they're going on sale, not that nothing has changed from last year.
Right, yeah.
So I'm hoping that this will create a more calm and happy experience for everyone involved.
And I know we heard that, Office of the Aged was, working along with you to provide, they were gonna be able to hand out flyers if the clerks would do that too, so that as the seniors come in, they can notify them of other, senior, assets out there, so it's a good thing, you know?
Yeah, and we do have some OFA information at all our stations, just in case, because, you know, we do serve a lot of senior residents, and the programs they offer is pretty cool.
And it still is one sticker, correct?
And one sticker.
And it has to be on vehicles?
It should be affixed to the vehicle. It should be affixed to the vehicle.
Should be.
And, you know,
And how many subscriptions are we looking at for out of county historically?
oh, we have like 2 or 3
Yeah.
at most, yeah.
No windfall there.
No,
No,
there's a few.
it's amazing that they do it though, you know?
I mean, we're close to the mass border.
Right,
You got
you are.
Dutchess County.
Yeah.
It's fine. Just any town clerk, office that might have any changes coming up for the year. The only way our department finds out from that is if I go to every town page and look to find out who's, you know, what hours there are. I just updated our worksheet for the stations that have all the clerks that sell our things, their hours, the address, the days that they're operating. And so it was a little out of date just because things had changed over the year and we're not necessarily notified. And we do, I've sent multiple emails throughout the year to the clerks about scale disruptions or inventory changes. So if there is any kind of change within the office, it would be great if we could just kind of remind them that our department would love to know that as well. That would be helpful. And this is a little late, but yard signs are not recyclable and should be thrown out with the household garbage or saved for the next election season. But they are not recyclable.
Mm-hmm.
The signs are not recyclable. Our household hazardous waste collection day event is scheduled for Saturday, October 10th. As I mentioned last year, we had hoped for trying to spur spring. The dates that we had reserved for 2024 were not, that were secured. They have had staffing changes and they didn't keep those. So October 10th it is. And as always, check out our website because I always add new updates. Employee updates. So I have 1 full-time out and labor and an MEO2. We are experiencing some specific part-time labor staffing issues at the moment, specifically hitting my Saturdays. So most of my stations at this point are working understaffed. I have 1 addition, so I have 2 part-time vacancies. I have 1 part-time laborer who just put in his resignation for the end of December. I have 1 part-time laborer that will be out through December, and another part-time laborer that will be going out shortly for an extended period of time. So with the math, that's 5. And we have 7 stations. So 5. All my stations are open Saturday. So I just want you all to be aware that I am experiencing some staffing issues. Things might not be running as smoothly at stations as possible. Service might not be as quick as some residents would like. And so there may be a little bit of complaining, especially when we move into December and January when we're selling recycling permits. It's really important for our department to have someone at each station that can do book work. And so we're just like piecemealing and patchworking our guys everywhere to kind of cover the holes.
Is there a DeMarco loaner program?
I was gonna ask that. Is there-
Depends on whether it's snowing or not.
Not a good time of year for me to loan it.
So with that, I would like to have a discussion regarding our New Lebanon Recycling Center and the Gallatin Station.
Yes. Also. Oh, sorry.
I'm looking for recommendations. I'm not looking for anything long-term, right? Just I don't have a resolution to do that. We'd have to go to the board and things, but I'm hoping for some sort of recommendation to help me adjust a schedule at least from December to April to get me through the winter months. And during our subcommittee group with the solid waste department, we have talked about stations and efficiency and these are 2 of the stations that have been brought up in our discussion. Currently, right now, New Lebanon is opened a half day on Wednesday and a half day on Saturday. Right now, we're lucky if we're seeing at max 30 people per shift. And it's just for recycling. It's a recycling center, and we're pulling for the entire year 26 ton of recycling out of there. So you're looking at somewhere between February of this year, it was 1 ton of recycling, right? So we're not pulling a lot of recycling out. So we're not getting a lot of recycling every day that we're there. So I'm looking for a recommendation to allow us to discontinue the Wednesday just through December through April, and then move it to every other Saturday through December through April. So that will free up one guy that has to go to New Lebanon on Wednesday to cover Copic or Kinderhook, where I do have holes at the moment. And then that frees up my guy that is splitting shift on Saturday, New Lebanon and Chatham, to only have to split that shift twice a month instead of all 4 months.
Every Saturday.
Or 4 weeks, I mean.
Did you reach out to the New Lebanon supervisor?
I wanted to have a discussion first here to see if this was something that would be feasible before reaching out to them. I'm not, and it's temporary. It's December through April.
Well, I think if you're under a strain right now, then it's a viable option to do what you're suggesting. And obviously, you want to do some political outreach with the supervisor there and make sure.
Yeah, obviously, yeah.
I did suggest that too, but I told her to bring it here first, let's talk about it. We haven't been talking about these things at the committee, you know.
What other stations are in the area?
Well, that's not a station, okay? So recycling is the only thing that can go to New Lebanon. It's a 30-yard container in the highway parking lot.
But you have to man it.
We have to man it, but there's no, so, you know, like my guys, there's no, he's in his car during the winter anyways, right? If the weather's inclement, there's no, it's out in the open. Am I wrong? I mean, it's out in the open. So, you know, our container, well, we used to have 2 containers there. We only have 1 now just because it was kind of in the way.
We rephrase my
and
question.
then I've got my.
Where would the residents go?
Oh, so Chatham. They go to Chatham. They go to Chatham, or they have, yes.
Well, Canaan's closer, but it's not a county.
It's not a county facility. A lot of the residents do, if they don't have curbside pickup for garbage, they go to Chatham.
Yeah. Well, there was a time when we were all Canaan residents.
Yes.
Right.
Everybody said I live in Canaan, right?
But they'd still be able to, and it's just recycling. So they would get rid of their recycling every other week instead of every Saturday.
Let's just get rid of the whole thing.
Yeah.
For the amount of tonnage, I would play with it for the winter, just say we're shutting it for the winter.
That's good. Talk
If they got other places to go.
It's a ways to go to Chatham.
You know, people drive all over the place. They go to Albany, Kings County, whatever, they don't even think about it.
During leaf peeping season,
It's not like it's garbage, it's recyclable.
It's just
Clean.
Your tonnage is terrible.
Right. It's just that for us to go to New Lebanon to pick up the container and bring it back, when we're bringing back a ton of recycling,
it doesn't make sense.
It's not
It's not ideal.
I'm sorry.
It's where you introduce the incinerator, waste to energy.
Well,
program.
You'd be surprised how many put recycling in their garbage. It's like, we all know that too. So.
And vice
Somebody
versa.
gets selected.
Exactly.
If it's straining you, I think that's what you should do. It's not, I mean, you can do what you want to do. To me, it's just a strain on the system.
She's asking us for approval to do it.
Oh, I was asking for a recommendation.
I'm giving you a recommendation. Shut it. Are you ready? We're making a recommendation.
Right. If the committee is identifying that they're okay, and again, we understand we still have to do the public the outreach to the town supervisor, understood. But if the committee is okay with us closing that down during the winter months in its entirety, we will present that to the town supervisor.
I think that's the best approach. It's just,
it doesn't make sense.
Close it till April and then we can reevaluate.
Poor guy's got in his car while he's waiting there and watching them. So, I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
Write that right down. He said that.
If he said. You get a call from yesterday.
I agree with you. A little common sense says you don't want to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got a recommendation from us.
Okay, well,
Next.
so the other one was Gallatin. Now, I don't want to close Gallatin every single, I just want to have it open every other week.
Then do what you want to do.
And here's, the problem with Gallatin is this.
Wait a minute, we got a problem now.
We do recycling and garbage there. There's not a whole lot.
Of recycling.
No, there's not a whole lot of
Anything.
where else are you going? I'm not 100% sure
Okay.
from Gallatin, maybe, but that's still, so there's not a lot of options.
Just Saturdays?
Gallatin is just Saturdays. Right now I'm running it with just one person, which is not an ideal situation. Because we don't collect a lot of garbage there, we couldn't use the compactor from, once the weather started getting warm. And we still haven't brought the compactor back because we're not pulling the compactor out. Sometimes it's like 6 or 7 weeks, right? So we can't leave garbage there. We were having flies and a major rat problem. We have no
So you're
flies
hauling
or rats
containers that are
now.
partially
So
empty.
we're hauling, we have a 20-yarder going out every, we leave it there Saturday and pull it Monday.
But it's not full.
It's, no.
Yeah.
No, I'm pulling about, well, so for the month of September, I pulled 5 ton. So it's a little tiny bit over a ton a week. Well, September might've been 5 weeks. October was the same, it was 5 ton. So that's not enough in a compactor. Once it's compacted, 5 ton isn't enough to pull. So we usually wind up waiting 6-7 weeks before we can pull.
Actually, Gallatin is not a far stretch from Livingston. Actually, it's pretty close. Parts of Gallatin, very close to Livingston Station.
I'll say Anchor, maybe not for either.
Ankrum.
Ankrum, but Ankrum doesn't have any, Gallatin is the Ankrum station. So, I mean, it's that, I'm looking for recommendations.
No, you won't know until you try it.
We've talked about
Yeah,
trying to
we have. I know.
help you try to do something different
Yes.
that saves some money. And I
Right.
think this is, do what you need to do.
You're proving to us that it's not up to capacity at all, so. Why?
Volume's not there, the expenses
Yeah.
are too high, we're losing money. I mean.
And especially do it in the winter, see what. how it
Tony,
plays out.
you paying attention to this? We only want you to plow snow every other snowstorm.
Only in Anchor.
All right.
Well, so every other week or not at all for the, so my concern is then where are those residents gonna go?
Along the
We
road.
give them 2 options, Ankrum and, or not Ankrum. what was
Well,
it?
Livingston.
Livingston and-
Parts of Gallatin.
Okay, okay. See, I'm not familiar with down there, so I don't know.
I mean, the other end of Gallatin, up close to Tokyo.
Right, okay,
Well, if you're in between, yeah.
okay.
You know,
So those are options.
in a real short thing, we're trying to please all the residents, but you know, every time there's been talks about people wanting to privatize solid waste for different reasons. Whenever we talk to somebody about privatizing it, they tell us we have too many stations, you know? Greene County operates with, 3 stations in their county, you know?
Transfer station.
Yeah, but I mean, there are locations that you can get rid of, you know, so it's a different little operation, but, and these are things that, you know, I think we need to continue to look at on a permanent basis to close a number of them, but to, the committee's recommendations here, I think to try a few of these and see how the reaction is.
Close them for the 3 months, see how it plays out.
Okay.
You know,
Jim is here, he can speak to
You're gonna have a couple
Gallatin.
people complain, but.
Yeah.
Everything else.
I don't know who, I know people go there, but I don't know how much. Right. I don't use it, so it won't bother me any. And you know, this has been brought up in the past, that, you know, if a town feels really strongly about these things, they can fund it, you know? So that option is out there, you know.
I thought you were gonna say ask for reinstatement, but.
Well, they can ask for that too, but I'm just saying, and I want there to be a discussion with any of these supervisors.
Are you suggesting it's because of lack of help?
or not enough garbage?
It's both. So-
Inefficient.
Got two things.
Right. When I was tasked to look at the efficiency of the department through the subcommittee, these are things that we brought up. But now I am in a position where it's still not efficient. And also I have a pretty big staffing issue at the moment. And all of these places are open on Saturday where I need everything manned. And so I'm having a difficult time doing that, and having one guy at Gallatin for the day, that's 8.5 hours because he's not getting his lunch. And then he has no support versus being able to take him and put him at a station that has a high volume of people and actually be effective and working would be helpful for our department.
So the number of people he has to deal with, he might be like, screw that.
So you're telling me that you got a guy working down there by himself?
At the moment.
Yeah.
Is that safe?
No.
That's
That's
what
an
I'm
issue.
saying.
It's an issue.
So you're answering your own question, in my mind. I mean, just, you know. you
But we
can't-
do what we gotta do to keep things flowing, you know?
Yeah, I
but-
know what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
If the volume was there, then you say we have to dump with
Oh,
people,
absolutely.
whatever, but it's not.
Chatham 3, Kinderhook usually is 3, Copic always has 3.
Yeah.
They have the volume that they need, a lot
And
of
if we get
people.
some of the outside, if we get some of the smaller station residents to go to other places, there's more business for them
Right.
to be more profitable. So-
Sure.
Is Party back to work?
Yes. Yeah. He is.
Like Ron brought up, I mean, we had this meeting with individuals that were looking at the county, and they said if we were to privatize, they would consider closing down most of our stations.
Right.
So for us closing one or two of these, you see how it works. It's just, it's helping
You're
us.
just doing it for the win. So listen. Oh, yeah, you won't be around. Oh, this is, I'm being serious now. I have a town board meeting tomorrow night. Make a decision so I can let people know in the town of Anchorage that you can only go to the transfer station. What are we gonna do? Once a month? Every other week?
The
May.
recommendation was closing it from December through April.
Oh.
But I will have to reach out to, the Gallatin supervisor and have a conversation, which has not happened yet. So, but the recommendation just now was to
Well, you got
close
the
it from
recommendation from
December
the
to
Anchorage
April.
supervisor, shut it down.
The
4 months.
outgoing- Yeah. Okay. Okay.
All right.
So I just wanted to take a very quick moment because it's very long, but I just want to say I appreciate the continued conversation and support that you all have given me this and my department this year. But facilities and highway, they have their assistance in work this year for our department has just been amazing. And I am very, very grateful. So thank you. And Ray.
Yes.
Without fearless leader. He's our fearless leader. He's got 1 million projects and he still has the time to rein us in, which is amazing. But he supports and champions us all the time. And so I just wanted to say thank you to everyone since this is our last meeting this year and we'll see you in
So
2026.
you got help from highway?
All the time.
I know we got so many damn potholes.
All right. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I make it. My last one.
Thank you. All right. Well, thank you, Wendy. Didn't mean to rush you, but, you know.
I know. It's getting better.